monitoring your credit. Thought it would be important to bring in some of those best practices, not only the reason why, but also some of the risks that you can take advantage or proactively plan for out there. So first, let's kick it off, Carrie, and focus on what makes up the credit score.
Yes, so this is all information that is reported on your credit report. It's broken down into several different categories. The most important, what makes up most of your credit score, is your payment history. That's really just making your payments on time every month. The amount owed, which is another big component, that is understanding your credit utilization. So how much are you borrowing versus your total capacity? Keeping that under 30% is generally the best practice there. It also is determined by the number of accounts that you have open at any time. The length of your credit history is just, if you've been making on-time payments for longer, that's better. That will help your credit score. New credit is how many times you have applied for a new credit card or a loan. Not being mindful of how often you're opening new credit cards is important for your overall credit score. And then your credit mix. There are two types of credit generally. Revolving credit is credit cards. Installment credit is making payments on your mortgage or student loans, for example. Having a good mix of both types can also help improve your credit score.
Yeah, so I mean, as you look at these top three, I mean, that's 80%, right there. So those are definitely the primary focus that you want to monitor, but new credit and obviously credit mix are going to be critical as well. But also thinking about your length of credit history, it's important to know that a lot of credit starts to fall off after an account's been closed for 10 years. So even thinking about an old mortgage that you had that it was contributing to your credit score over the years becomes less impactful, after that's been closed for 10 years. So all things that you want to continue to monitor, as I know there's a lot of competition out there around credit score. So these are things to help improve from the short term. All right, so let's shift gears to why this is important.
You want your information to be accurate. You never know if you're going to want to finance a car, for instance, or maybe do a short-term mortgage, or just having credit at your disposal when you need it. You might not necessarily think you need it now, but having that option available to you is key.
Yeah, and some of the common issues that we do see is just information being reported wrong. Mm-hmm. That could be your names spelled incorrectly, and that can cause issues. We can see like phone number, address. Other common issues we see are also just like your credit limits, right? And how much you have access to, or maybe it's understating, which goes back to some of those statistics of what goes into your score.
Another big focus is fraud. There's no surprise that credit card fraud and even identity theft is on the rise. And if you are monitoring your credit report, keeping a close eye on perhaps any fraudulent accounts that are opened in your name, the quicker that you can fix this issue, the better too, to avoid any long-term damage to your overall creditworthiness.
My personal example, I had a mortgage payment that was reported inaccurately. Paid it on time, but it wasn't reported, and it made my score dip. Mm-hmm. And I caught it right away because I saw that based on my monitoring process that the score did go down. Called the mortgage company. They were able to send information to the credit bureaus and have that fixed, but that still took a couple months to actually refresh itself out. And obviously, if you are seeking credit and all of a sudden you discover one of these things, it just could delay the process and or impact your potential rate,
exactly.
Interest rate that you have. And some of the terms that are applied to what you're borrowing at that time. So let's talk about what you can do to prevent some of these risks.
You have access to a free credit report from each of the credit bureaus on an annual basis. So the three main credit bureaus that are the most popular or notable, I suppose, are Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. You can go to each one of the bureaus directly and request a free report to show all of this information that we were just talking about.
If you do see those issues, as Carrie mentioned, then the sooner you address that, the better. Just because it does take some time to rectify the situation there, depending on the scope of it overall. Another thing that you have the option to do is sign up for ongoing monitoring. There's a lot of companies out there that do that. Some of the bureaus offer services to allow to do that they're monitoring your credit 24/7. Use that at your discretion, just based on kind of your concerns there, but it is something that is an option that we do see used from time to time. The other thing just to point out too about risks and continuing to monitor it is, we see that one person in the household is the primary card holder and the other person is the authorized user. Elaborating on what's being reported to the credit bureaus from the credit card companies is really important because many times the authorized user activity is not being reported under their personal credit. So we think it's important for everyone to take a look at this because you don't want some unintended consequences where the primary cardholder passes away, which by law, that card then needs to be closed, but then the authorized user, when they look at their credit, they don't have any significant history there. So there's opportunities to prevent that in ways of having a separate card under your name, using that once a month for even smaller balances, and making sure that, too, the history that the primary cardholder has, that you're the authorized user on, is also being reported to your under your credit report as well.
Just another best practice, if you are not actively applying for a new credit card or looking to establish a new loan, just keep your credit frozen with each of the 3 credit bureaus. It does not affect the way that you are using your credit card today, and it really just prevents any unauthorized inquiries into your credit to happen without your consent. If you're expecting a hard inquiry on your credit report, you can allow that by thawing the report, but at all other times you keep it frozen, and that can reduce your risk of criminals really, accessing your credit report and opening an account in your name when you are not intending for that.
Yeah, but what's important there is it doesn't impact your current spending habits. So
Right.
If you're currently using a credit card and your credit is frozen, there's no impact there. Still allows you to maintain your daily activities there. And we see this as a best practice, especially for our clients who have older parents, that they might be monitoring or taking care of. That's a best practice that they help them out with, or vice versa. Some of our older clients are doing that as well because they don't really need access to credit or any additional credit. And as Carrie alluded to, there's a lot of fraud and scams out there.
So just keeping your credit frozen can just eliminate a lot of exposure to you and your loved ones as well.
Yeah, and it's easy to turn on and off through each of the
it's
individual
instant,
bureaus.
really.
So, again, just best practice to consider as you think about your borrowing needs or lack of borrowing needs, which can minimize some of those risks out there. So let's wrap it up here, Carrie, with how we can help.
So this is going to be a big part of our annual review process. We understand that every family manages their credit card habits a little bit differently. So we want to just help you understand the risks that are out there and make sure that you are not exposed to risks that you're not aware of.
Exactly, and I think that there's a couple things you can just walk away from, from this conversation here today. It's one, pull your credit and review everything that's on there, every detail, history to make sure it's accurate. And then 2, if you don't need credit, freeze it. Those are 2 actions that you can take advantage of, and as Carrie noted, we'll be having more conversations to come throughout this year. So we do appreciate you spending time with us here today, and we'll see you next month. Thank you. Bye-bye.